Hello and welcome once again to MGTracey. Thank you very much for joining me today. Now today we're going to look at the two different versions of Nespresso. And first of all, why are there two different versions of Nespresso? So the original one was really, it followed on from the keurig system in America when Nespresso and Nescafe decided they want to have a share of the sort of disposable pod market, and they came up with a machine that would make a very nice shot of espresso coffee. Now, two things they've had issues with that. Eventually they ran into patent troubles with their own pod, and so no longer could it just be their coffees, anyone could put their coffee in it. So that is the key revenue stream for these machines, because often they're sold at a loss, the money is in those. So that was number one. Number two is, this is not how most Americans drink coffee. Right, so these little pods cannot possibly make enough coffee to fill a big mug or something you're going to take in the car, this sort of thing, you know. In the States, where everybody is not so much about how the taste and the froth and the latte and the cappuccino and the mochaccino, it's more about small, medium or large, and is it hot or cold. And this system cannot cope with that. So it did very well in Europe, didn't really break into America or take on keurig in any significant way, so wasn't doing too well in the States. Plus you've got the loss of revenue. So the next idea was to go with a completely new machine that has a barcode in it. This spins and sets up the machine for the amount of fluid. An idea taken from Bosch's Tassimo machine that also has a barcode reader here in Europe. Now this machine also can produce a mighty fine coffee with a nice creamer head on it. It's a lot more expensive, and because it's covered by completely different patents, you can only get Nescafe's range of coffees in it, which is of course what they wanted. Also, it can produce, there's 4 different size pods, it can produce any size, right, even to fill up a flask if you don't mind taking out a bank loan to buy the pod in the first place. So all these things drove Nescafe to launch different machines. Now both of these are second hand, you don't have to spend a lot of money. A new Vertuo machine now is under £50 in the UK. Nespresso probably around £60 or £70, that sort of thing. But if you're not too worried about having new and you want to help recycle some of these appliances, then both of these came from eBay. This one was £18 and it came with about £100 worth of pods, and the Nespresso I think was down to £8 plus shipping, and I've had them both running now for a couple of years. And actually the older Vertuo machines are better because they're motorised, there's a lot more to them, which makes them a bit more fun. So both these machines can generate a lot of landfill. I've made previous videos, you just need something like this little disc which can allow you to reuse and refill your Vertuo pods, or on Amazon you can freely find lots of these little ones which you can put your own coffee in, seal, drop in, rinse out, put the contents in your food waste, rinse out, and then you can reuse those. And that means that either system, via Amazon or similar retailers, it's very easy if you want to help with the planet. So both these machines produce very good coffees. If you use recycling stuff, then you can put your favourite coffee in them. You don't have to be tied down by brands. You can save a bit of money and help save the planet from a load of landfill. But anyway, we're going to use here, actually that's the wrong one, we're going to use here a Starbucks Nespresso pod, just so you can see really how good this system is. So it's very simple. It tries to mimic what happens in Starbucks, using bar pressure to force that through that tiny little pod, and that's the reason why actually it's better if they are made of aluminium, because it seems to heat more evenly and allows more pressure to go against it. They just seem to perform so much better than some of the biodegradable pods. So very simple. It's a very simple machine with 2 buttons. You can pre-program these to the amounts. I use this large cup here. So it doesn't take very long to warm up, and you can see there you've instantly got a steamy coffee. Now this is very much, I think, the appeal of this. It doesn't take a lot of space. Obviously it's not very expensive to buy, and you do get a very nice product. Now obviously that's not enough for me, so I'm going to keep the button. With most coffee machines, if you want to stop the machine, push one of these top buttons. You want to have more liquid, hold the top button. Now I normally have a splash of milk in there, so I would probably stop there. And you can already see you have a very nice coffee poured there, and that will drop back to really quite a nice creamer head, and that has been made with pressure. This system is completely different. It's going to spin, and it seems to make the head more by aeration, by the centrifugal force of spinning the machine. It has several other bits that I do like. Obviously with this machine, when you pop this up, the pod, like a spent cartridge in a gun, it just drops out the way there and into a catch-all behind. The Vertuo is very similar. You drop your pod in there, and on the top here you've got like two roller coaster rails. Now they will eject the bigger spun disc out the back when they're finished. So if we touch it, with these older models it's all motorised. I love that. The newer one, you're going to have to do that yourself. Now you hear the machine now. This doesn't, I think, build up pressure. It just really starts to spin. It fires a little bit of water into that pod to start off with. Keeps going, spins, and then the main coffee is fired through it. You get a very similar effect, and oh heavens, the smell of these machines, if you love coffee, is wonderful. Neither of these machines will cope with tea very easily, because actually, like most coffee machines, they're at the wrong temperature. If you want to make tea, you need boiling water. Coffee machines don't boil water. They take it up to the temperature that it should be for coffee, so they're not going to be able to make tea for you. Neither of these machines either will very easily make a latte. They are just making you the coffee, but you can already see a bigger cut, much more fluid. In fact, that one is this one is 7.7 fluid ounces, 230 ml. I tend to use that one all the time. It's just right for me. You see this finishes quite happily, and by the time I've just put a little splash of milk in the top, it's fine. If you like your flavourings, of course, you can add a little bit of this. I quite like this one, which is a little bit of caramel. I try and make sure my flavourings on my pods are all natural. I avoid anything on the packaging that says artificially flavoured. That worries me if you're putting a lot of that inside your body, so I don't tend to do that. So now it's just spinning the last out. It'll effectively just switch itself off. Unlike the Tassimo or Dulce Gusta, there's no pressure, no bar pressure to wait to be released, so you can just pop it up and, oh, didn't quite make it look, but that actually just slides down the roller coaster rails and into the back. So there you are, you've got another very nice coffee, but you can see the sort of size difference you've got there. So depending on, you know, what type of coffee you're trying to make, if you want to make cappuccinos and latte, this will be easier to froth up some milk and pop with it. This shot isn't really going to be enough, I don't think. Or if you want to fill up something like this that's going in your car, then the Vertuo is the one for you, really. What you find over time is these heads have been made in different ways. The Nespresso, the small machine, has made it with pressure, and that crema level will stay there quite a while. This one, it'll break down within 4 or 5 minutes because it's spun. It's great to look at initially, but if you leave that standing for any time, it's like the beer in your pub. You're going to find that the head has gone. So it's really horses for courses. Hopefully that explains why you've got 2 Nespresso machines and a plethora of different pods. Don't forget, you can get reusable bits. I'll put the links below if you want to try and reuse this stuff rather than filling up landfill with millions of pods. There are different schemes where you can free post send your pods back to be recycled. You do need to do that because they often are a mixture of plastic, metal, food waste, so it's not easy in a normal recycling facility or for you to do it yourself. You will find there are some biodegradable versions for the Nespresso, and do they biodegrade? Yes, probably not in your own home, they're probably better to go to an industrial composter. The trouble is the coffee isn't the same out of them, so on a quality of coffee, couldn't recommend them. On a helping the planet, great. So anyway, I hope you found that really useful. If you've got any questions, whop them below and I'll try to get back to you within 24 hours. Please like, share and subscribe. If you want to send me a coffee to invest in future videos, then you can just hit that super thanks button below and send me a couple of dollars. That'd be really appreciated. This is Paul from London and I'll see you in the next video. Cheerio!